back in the day, somebody challenged Ernest Hemingway to write a story in 6 words, and he did. And then I learned about that through a masterclass I was taking with Richard Branson. And so he came up with one for Virgin. Screw it, let's do it. I came up with challenge everything, then do the unexpected. And that's our company mantra. And that is how I roll. I've always rolled that way. I mean, I swear you and I, have the same mindset then, because everything that I do, and dude, when one of my competitors out there challenges me, they don't even know they're challenging me most of the time. But if I ever hear about it, it's game on. I will wait for 20 years. Hell, I could have closed the business. I could have sold the business. I don't care what it is. 20 years down the line, if I see you, I'm still going to try to beat you somehow. And it does sound kind of psycho, but it's the obsession that is required for winning.
My name is Derek Wolfe. I'm a Super Bowl champion and a 10-year NFL vet. Now, after a decade of professional football, I'm focusing on my other passions. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Wolfe Untamed. Today's guest is John Radzwilla. John is the creator and owner of Hook and Barrel. It's a magazine. It's kind of like the GQ for the outdoor community. Really something different for this space, so hope you enjoy this one. It's going to be a good one. So let's talk about how Hook and Barrel came to fruition. Let's start there. Let's just talk about like where you came from and how this whole thing came, because to me it's just awesome. It's like there's unlike anything else that's in the outdoor space. And I think you said it best. You said it was like the GQ of the outdoor community, and it really is. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about where you came from, where where you grew up, and then we'll work into that.
Yeah, I have a pretty diverse past. I moved down to Texas in about 2008 or 9 from northeastern Pennsylvania. I grew up about 2 hours west of New York City, but as far away as you possibly could get in the Pocono Mountains. And so we had close influence of the city, but we were just as country as chicken coops out there. And, I grew up in a high school where you still got the first day off of deer season, and just kind of grew up in the outdoors. My dad passed when I was 7, so I never had any mentors in the outdoor space. So I just did a lot of mountain biking and a lot of just exploring the woods, just typically what boys did back then. And, I didn't start hunting until a little bit later in life, but to catch up to where Hook and Barrel came from, coming from that part of the world, you tend to read a lot of lifestyle magazines like GQs and the Maxims and the Esquires, just because your proximity to big cities. And it's just kind of like, it's weird. I have this weird dichotomy of lives. Like at one time I could be walking through Paris and shopping with my wife. And the other hand, I could be like pooping in the woods in Oklahoma. Right. And I'm as comfortable in each. And it's a very interesting life. But I just was sitting in a bar one day, man, and I was like, could there be a redneck GQ? And what does that look like? Because there wasn't. There wasn't a lifestyle and entertainment magazine for outdoorsmen. And so I went over to Barnes & Noble's, went through the racks, didn't find anything that I liked. There's all your usual suspects. And then again, on the other side of things, on the lifestyle side, there were your usual suspects there. And I just thought, well, what if I just marry these two worlds? What does this look like? And I came up with this concept. I called the little bartender over. I asked her for a piece of paper. She gave me a piece of loose leaf. I just drew out a logo, started writing down a little bit of business plan on another sheet, and came home, talked to my wife, Natalie, who's now our COO, and said, hey, I've got this great idea. Let's go for it. And she was already burnt out with what she was doing. She was working for Mary Kay Cosmetics, and she had earned like 9 cars in 5 years. And she just was crushing it there, but she was just tired of chasing women on the weekends. And so, yeah, man, she just immediately jumped on board, and we just went after it. And I think ignorance was bliss. There's a thing called the Dunning-Kruger curve. And essentially like this is a psychiatry kind of thing. Basically in 1999, these two people did this research study, and it's basically like a bell curve. And on this curve is in the beginning, when people are really ignorant and they're not very good at things, they have this huge amount of confidence, like dangerous confidence. On the other side of things, when you're on the far right of that curve, you are just so jaded that you've just decided that like nothing's going to work. And I was so far to the left of that curve, like I had no freaking clue what I was doing. But But I think that's what kind of made hook and barrel work. I just looked at things and said, how do you do this? Oh, that's a really dumb way of doing this. Why are you doing it that way? Well, because it's how we always have done it. Like, well, that's why your business is going out of business. Like, that's why people keep saying print's dead. I'm like, you're insane.
Yeah, and I don't think it is, man. I think people are craving that. There's something about picking up a paperback, you know what I mean? And looking through it and looking at the pictures and reading the little articles and just seeing something different than what you're used to seeing. Cause you're right, man. In the hunting industry, in the outdoors industry, it's all the same. It's the same stuff over and over and over again.
Right.
You know, and I love Eastman's. Like, Eastman's is a great company. They've put out so much cool content and they've done so many cool things, but it is the same thing kind of over and over again, year in, year out. And some people like that. People like, what they like. But what about the new generation of hunters and outdoorsmen and outdoors women? What about these people that are just now coming into it? And what about the new people that we want to draw into that, I just think it's really cool that you mesh that, like, the normal guy that likes to hunt with, like, the major celebrity, like the Blake Sheltons. And, I saw you just went on a hunt with Waddell.
Yep.
I bet that was probably just so fun.
Yeah. Michael is amazing.
Michael Waddell I grew up watching him. So, it was like, I've always thought it'd be really cool to hunt with that guy. So I'm sure it was just a blast.
Yeah, he's amazing. Well, and that was like, I was just pulling this out. Like, so I don't know if you can see this. My name is John Radzwilla, and I'm an endangered species. It was something I realized in the beginning. Like, we conserve everything from habitat to species, but we don't conserve the hunters. Yet we keep asking why numbers are diminishing. Well, it's because we've never done anything to attract new ones. We are not engaging with the younger demographic. And some organizations say they are, but if you ultimately look at what they're doing, it's not really engaging a younger crowd. It's just basically like putting a Band-Aid on a problem. Yeah, we took a young kid out hunting. Great. He's never going to go back. But what I saw was, like, if we could get, like, the dad, the young new dad, that, like, 35 to 40-year-old guy engaged again, he is then going to drive his kid to the outdoors because he's going to fall in love with the lifestyle. But there's this weird gap. Like, these conservation groups, like, take some, 8, 9, 10-year-olds out and they feel good about themselves, but it's not really sexy to take the dad out. It's a lot cooler to take the kid out. But then there's this thing called a car or a truck, and the kid's never going to go back if his dad's not interested.
Well, here's the other thing about these conservation organizations, I'm not going to call them out, but to me, they're all full of shit. Like, they are all so full of shit because they're selling these tags at auction for millions of dollars. They're doing all these crazy auctions. But when it comes time for, like, there to be a need for help, they're just silent. They're nowhere to be found. When it came time for this mountain lion ban that was on the last ballot, none of them, they were nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. When I was just trying to raise money to make hunting and fishing a constitutional right in the state of Colorado. They're dead silent. They don't want to help at all. Well, what is all that money for then, if it's not for conservation? Like, is hunting not the ultimate form of conservation? Like, yeah. that is conservation. So what I see is a lot of people lining their own pockets and getting rich and buying ranches and doing this and doing that, instead of trying to pay it forward and pass it down. I mean, it happens in every business, really, and especially in this outdoor business, where most of these guys just worry about themselves and they're in it for the wrong reasons. I think it starts out as the right reason, but then they realize, like, well, I got to make a living too, and they kind of take advantage of the process, and that's where you end up with, like, these giant organizations that are raking in millions of dollars a year, and the COO and the CEO are cashing in and buying ranches, but everybody else is. Like, how did Wyoming just made it so that non-residents can't even draw a moose or sheep tag?
Wow. I didn't even know that.
People have 20 years of points built up. Ooh, where were they when that was going down? Nowhere to be found. Where are they at whenever they're trying to sell off public land? They're trying to sell off public land in states that people rely on that public land for their access. It's, but where are they at? They're nowhere to be. They're just dead silent. You know why? Because they just toe the line and do what they're told and collect their check.
Well, I can't speak to a lot of that. But what I can say is my experience is and opinions align for the majority with you. I mean, there are organizations that do some good stuff out there, but you're right. They don't show up. They don't like get in there when things get dirty. You know, when things are easy, they seem to be there. There are a lot of organizations that have a lot of focus on Africa as well. That's, you know, and that's a very important ecosystem. But at the same time, you know, it's like my grandfather used to always say, charity starts at home. And there's a lot to be done here in America. And it's a shame to see the public land getting closed and sold off. You know, there's just a lot of things that could be out there. And what you're talking about is a lot of the legislative side of things. And yeah, they don't really get involved with that. And that's
expensive. The average guy can't just go out there and make a difference in that. We need these organizations to like pony up and get behind, you know, people that are willing to put themselves out there. So it's, you know, it's sad to see, but you know, at the same time, there's people like you who are, you know, trying to spread the word and show the bright side to, you know, the outdoors and show like what's like all the good stuff that kind of goes on. Cause it is a lot of BS that goes on. I mean, they make it harder. The access is difficult. Hunting licenses are difficult. Look at Utah right now, how expensive it is to go buy an elk tag there now. And it's like almost $3,000 to go hunt an elk. I mean, that's insane.
And that's just on public. Try to go and do that with a guide. Holy crap.
Oh, you do that with a guide. And then so think about this. If you go to Utah and you want to buy a landowner tag, that's 17 grand. Then you pay $3,000 for the license. So now you're in it for 20 grand. And then you got to pay your guide another 10, 15 grand. So now you're in it for 35, 40. And then after everything's said and done, you're in it for 50 grand to kill an elk. That is with a bow. Your chances of killing with a bow is like 11%. So you're going to pay all that money regardless if you kill or not. It's just like, it's become this rich man's game, man. And I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't like the average guy is getting pushed out of the sport.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's really ultimately what my problem is. Like, I don't, you know, as far as the conservation kind of side of stuff, you know, I try not to get involved with that because it is such a nebulous kind of world and there's so much in there. But what frustrates the piss out of me is the old white man club. And you and I will grow up someday and we'll be old white men too. But at the end of the day, it's the same old white dude we're always talking to. It's the same old white dude always making the decisions. And we keep looking at things and we've got this huge diverse population in this country, a lot of which want to go out and hunt and fish, but we just make it just this good old boys club up in the woods. You know, I was reading a story today. I got a pitch from a girl saying that when her dad was growing up, you know, it was no women allowed at deer camp. And I'm like, that's horrible. That's not even where my brain goes.
That's the dumbest thing I've heard.
I would much rather like my wife there rather than hanging out with a bunch of dudes, you know, scratching ourselves in the woods. Like, at least my wife is there, you know, but you know, that's just me. And so that's why we launched Hook and Barrel, man, is because we conserve everything but the damn hunter. And so for me, it was really a grassroots effort. It was like, let's put something together that's going to attract somebody that may not even like to hunt or fish. Like, that's really the goal. If I could get people from the middle over to the hunting and fishing side, that's a huge win. And if I could get somebody from the anti-crowd by erasing the ignorance that's being put out there by the anti-crowd, if I could convince them or show them that we are not what we're being painted to be, if I can move them to the center, I've now got them in a holding pattern, and eventually I could get them over to the hunting, fishing, shooting side of things. And that's really my goal. And so that's one of the things we do with Hook and Barrel too, is we really put out a lot of content that doesn't alienate people. It entertains the veteran hunter, but it also educates and attracts the novice hunter, as well as just showing the lifestyle. I mean, we don't always have to go out there and kill something with a gun. I mean, sometimes we could just have a drink.
No, some of the best hunts I've ever been on, honestly, like the last 2 years of elk hunting, I've had an absolute blast on in the last two seasons, but I didn't kill anything. I mean, I was close and had a ton of opportunity and stuff, but like I couldn't seal a deal and it just didn't happen for me. But man, I had an absolute blast. Like, that's where the antis, they can't figure it out. They're like, why do you like to go kill things? I'm like, it's not about killing things. It's not about that. That is like when you kill something, it's almost bittersweet because now it's over. The hunt's over. The fun part is over now. You know what I mean? The fun part of like being in camp and like, oh man, we hiked 10 miles yesterday. We got to get up and do it again tomorrow. Like, you know, that to me, like that the suffering of hunting elk in the rut is like just not, it's hard, man. It's just like a lot of hiking. There's other hunts you could do that are not as difficult, but I enjoy that part of it, of the hiking and the work and all that stuff. But that's the part that you love. It's that, right? Releasing an arrow and killing an animal. Now the hard work starts. Now you got to do hard shit. Now you got to go clean that animal. You have to quarter that animal. You got to pack it out. You got to take care of the meat. You got to do all the things that you have to do afterwards. But like when you're just hunting, man, it's just like, hey, we're just waking up in the morning and we're getting after it. And we're going to go out and take a nap in the middle of the day on the woods and pooping in the wood. Like all that stuff is just like, that's what it's about, you know, and like the camaraderie that goes along with that and, you know, suffering together and having a good time. It's just, that's what it's about. And then getting back to camp and eating some food and sitting by a fire and doing it again the next day. That's what it's about. It's not about killing things. That's where they're just like misconstrued. So I love when you say that you're trying to pull those antis into like that middle ground, because a lot of people will tell you, a lot of these old timers will tell you, you'll never convince an anti otherwise, right? If they're an anti, they're always going to be an anti. But the people in the middle, those are the ones that you can convert. And when I say convert, you just get them, you just educate. If you just educate somebody, and I'll give you an example. We're in Las Vegas. This is last year. This time last year, actually the same time last year, because we were going to EDC. You know what EDC is, right?
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't imagine you at EDC. What are you wearing at EDC?
I'll just wear like a tank top and some shorts, like
just straight dreads and just
dreads out.
Does your audience even know what EDC is?
I don't think they know what it is. So it's the Electric Daisy Carnival, and it's in Vegas. There's 500,000 people in one weekend that show up to that thing. And I never liked EDM music, but my wife is like obsessed with it.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, I'll go. And I like love it. You know, that's what I listen to when I ended up, that's what I listen to when I work out. Like it's like high energy, good vibes. You know what I mean? It's either
Absolutely.
That or death metal. So it's like, you know,
there's no in between. It depends on what the lift is for me.
Yeah. It depends what I'm about to do. If I'm doing something heavy and I'm going to have something angry on there, but you know, when it comes to just like a flowy workout, man, I'm putting EDM on. Like I'm just going to vibe out to it. And so we're going to EDC, and I was actually like, the pants that I brought, I like spilt something all over them. So I had to go buy some new pants, and finding just like pants in a random store for me is not easy. Actually, Vegas is like,
excuse me, do you have 40-inch inseam?
Yeah, I got a 38-inch inseam. So it's like, you know, you walk in there and you're like, hey, you got any 38, 37s, 38, 38s? And they're like, what? So I ended up finding a place. And I'm in there, and this somebody recognizes me and was like, man, I saw that mountain lion you killed, this and that. And this woman was just looking at me crazy, just giving me dirty looks. And I was like, you don't like hunting, do you? And she was like, I don't know why you have to kill lions. And I was like, oh, let me tell you the backstory about this lion. And I told her the story about this lion, and I told her about how important it is to, like, you know, take a mature tom and you get them treed, and you see what sex they are. And then you see if it's a mature one or not. And then you decide if you're going to take it or not. And I was like, and that's really good for the population. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. She's like, well, you changed my mind. And I was like, see, that's a person that was like totally so against what I was just, because this guy was so jazzed up about this mountain lion that I had killed. He was like super excited to meet me. And she's just back there like, the looks I was getting from her were just, she's like, this guy's a Neanderthal. Like, can't believe this guy kills lions. Like, why would you kill a mountain lion? And when I explained it to her, like the conservation side of it and how important it is to manage these populations, she was like, oh, well, I never thought of it that way. And she's like, so they'll kill like dogs and stuff? I'm like, yeah. I was like, and they kill a deer. They'll kill like 2 or 3 deer a week. And she's like, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah, it's good for the population.
Calves, cattle.
Yeah, they kill cattle. They harass people's dogs and their cats, and that's just good for the population, you know? And she was like, well, that makes sense. And I changed her mind on it, you know, and it's rather than me being ignorant, you know, jerk off and be like, oh, you don't like hunting, and make it worse, you know? Because I think a lot of guys will do that. Like they just kind of will pick fun at them that'd be like, oh, they're soft and they don't understand it. And just because they're ignorant to it and then they're thinking emotionally, it doesn't mean you can't take time to educate them. And if they want to accept that, then great. But if not, then great too, whatever. Like it's not my job to change your mind. I can just educate you and then you can make your decision from that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like that's one of the things that frustrates me most about this space is like, not only will we backbite each other in this industry, like crossbow versus vertical bow, rifle hunters. We're all on the same damn team. But then on top of it, we'll give the antis the ammunition they need just to shoot us down. We'll post up just graphic pictures on the internet and be like, oh, fuck Mark Zuckerberg. He didn't let me put up this picture. No, dude, it's like, it's not adding anything to the community. And at the same time, it's detracting from our mission to create more numbers. And just like that situation that you had, that could have gone two ways, right? You could have reinstilled the ignorant stereotype of what she was believing for years, or you could educate and move her to the middle. And that's the difference between a potential hunter, outdoorsman. Maybe she has a grandson that she's been telling for years, you're not allowed to go hunting. No, hunting is terrible. And then all of a sudden she comes home and explains that story, and it might change something in his mind. You just never know. There's a downstream effect to all this stuff. And I watch what some of our competitors do over here at Hook and Barrel, and I just shake my head. One, I can't believe you're doing that. But two, keep doing that because it makes my job easier.
Hey guys, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite sponsors, Juniper Mountain Coffee. Coffee without compromise. You're getting high quality coffee without the high prices. This is an American company that stands behind their values. They stand behind their coffee. These guys make some of the best coffee I've ever had. It's a coffee I drink every morning. Juniper Mountain Coffee works directly with the farmers, paying fair wages, and that way you have no middleman. There's no BS, no garbage. You're getting high quality products. So go check them out at junipermountaincoffee.com. What are some of the things that you see other companies do that make you shake your head at them?
Oh, I think if I was to talk, I think some of them would know who I was talking about. But I will just say I've seen gun reviews that are horrific. The usage cases given about those gun reviews. I see social media posts that are borderline, just threatening in a way if perceived that way. I see a lot of rhetoric about the anti-crowd. I've seen, I've seen some of their stuff, some stuff that's out there that is just, it doesn't even have anything to do with hunting and fishing. It just is, sexist and misogynistic and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, that's 51% of the population. Why are we pissing off the women as well? Like, not like, we just need numbers. We need numbers.
Yeah, we need people. And that's what it comes down to is we need people. New people to join the I call it I don't want to call it a sport, but it is kind of like a sport. It's a lifestyle. And I think there's a lot of people that are interested in it and they just don't know. It's like, oh, well, what will my friends think of me? Or what will, how do I convince my wife to be okay with this? Or how do I get away and spend that kind of time and that kind of money, to go do these things? And it's like, I don't know, man. I think that if we keep down the same path that we're on, infighting, arguing with each other about what broadhead is best, arguing with each other about, oh, this bullet is better than that. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Listen, when wolves try to kill an elk, what do? They separate the weak one. And that's what the antis do. That's what these anti-hunting organizations that are out to get us, that's what they do. They narrow in on one person and separate them from the crew and they attack. And if we don't stick together, regardless of how we like to hunt, who cares? To me, hunting and fishing should be like in the same realm. Like it's the same deal, right? Like it's all part of the same ecosystem. Same with like, even down to like bird hunters, right? People that just like to wing shoot. Like there's a lot of people on the left that like to wing shoot, right? That are on that side. They like to shoot birds. Like they like going out and shooting doves and pheasant hunting and quail hunting and grouse hunting. And they love doing all that stuff. But then and that's okay. If you don't want to shoot elk and stuff, that's fine. But then why are you judging me? Because I want to do that. Why are you trying to make it hard for me to go do that as an outdoorsman? It's weird, this double standard that kind of goes on in our community. And it's just, oh man, it's really, it even goes down to like the Ranella brothers, where like one brother is like, you shouldn't be posting hunting videos and you shouldn't be, celebrating your kills and stuff like that on Instagram. And I can understand one side of that. There's a way to do it, right? Okay, I'll give you an example. That lion, I had no idea that lion was going to blow up like that. I sent my wife the picture and she was like, hold on, let me clean this up. Cause there's blood everywhere. So she cleans the blood up and then she's like, all right, now you can post it. I'm like, okay. I had no idea that. I thought it was just like going to be a normal everyday post that I would put up, of like, hey, look what I did today. No, that was not the case. It blew up, but at least I was smart enough to think like I shouldn't post this with all this blood in it.
And what was the story that actually happened? I mean, what was the difference between a blood covered lion and a cleaned up lion? It took two totally different paths just by what happened. And as hunters, we know what the outcome is going to be. So why do we need to do that? All we're going to do is fan the flames of the anti-crowd and create havoc in our own lives. Like, so why are we doing this?
Yeah. It's like it's like that guy up in Wyoming that ran over the wolf with his snowmobile and then drug it around town while it was still alive.
Dude,
why would you do that? Is the most backwoods, dumb, ignorant thing and gives us such a bad look. Yeah. Because it's just sad. It's like any group, right? The couple bad apples give us all a bad name.
Well, and I know the wolves are a problem up there, but they're also beautiful creatures. And that's something that I think people totally lack a respect for nature and an appreciation for nature. I mean, when I'm zeroed in on something, like my vision goes from this to this little viewpoint, right? And I'm a cold stone killer at that point. But otherwise, unless I'm hunting them, I'm not out there torturing animals. Like that's another misconception of the anti-crowd. But again, that asshole decided that he was going to give all of us a bad name.
Yeah. And that's where we have to we got to think before we act. You got to be smart about the things that we're doing out here. Like you can't, you have to manage the wolf population. We get that. Everybody gets that. But you don't need to run it over with a snowmobile and then drag it around town and show it off to everybody and take it to the bar with duct tape around it. Like it's just insane.
Do you know what that's akin to? That's akin to like what we're seeing happen with a lot of the liberals, like in the big cities when it comes to like the Gaza protests or the Black Lives Matter protests or name any one of those, right? That's the equivalent to burning down the police station. That's the equivalent to, taking over your university. Like that's the equivalent, their equivalent. And here we are on the right, like, oh man, what a bunch of assholes. Well, that's exactly what we do oftentimes for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, you're just poking fun at them. Like it's, instead of trying to educate and just like listen and have an open dialogue about it, you're stooping to the level of it's childish. It's childish is what it is. Because when a small child throws a tantrum, you don't throw a tantrum back. You don't if my 5-year-old starts crying, I don't start crying too. Right. It's like I try to diffuse the situation and have a conversation about what the feelings are in this moment. Like, why are you feeling this way?
And as a dad, at least for me, I'll get down on one knee, get down to their level, start talking calmly. Yeah. I mean, dude, we could go around and around about this, but the bottom line of it is we need to conserve the damn hunter and we need to get more young people, that 35 to 55-year-old guy out there, because otherwise we're going to have this huge gap between the old dudes and the young kids. And that's the gap is where things fall off. And so, speaking of Ranellas, dude, I think Steve has done an incredible job in attracting people, especially getting into the Netflix world. Michael Waddell's another huge one that I think has just really left a huge legacy. Waddell's a fun guy. I've known him for years. If you look at some other people in there, you got what I call the Haynes Rogan effect between Joe and Cam, what they've done attracted. I mean, I think they've totally changed just the physicality of the outdoorsmen completely. Like there's a lot of great people in that space and there's a lot of bad players as well. And so, for me, I just align myself with all the good players.
Cam will attract a lot of hate because guys are like, oh, it must be nice to go do this and that. And it's like, hey man, like what he's doing for the outdoors is incredible. Look at the amount of, I can't tell you how many people have come up because he mentions me in his new book. Right. So I was at the gym the other day and somebody came up to me the other day and was like, hey man, like I'm I'm thinking about getting into bow hunting. I'm like, oh yeah. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I'm listening to Cam's book and he's talking about you and this and that. And he's like, man, it sounds like something that maybe I'd be interested in doing. Where do I start? So I was like, here's the first thing you do. Go to a bow shop and shoot bows and shoot until you find one that fits you, that you feel good shooting. I was like, and just practice and practice and practice. I was like, and then get an over the counter tag and go out and start messing around with the elk and see if you could find one and try to get to 20 yards. Like, and that's where you start.
It's that easy. Just go do that.
Well, yeah, it sounds easy, but I was like, and be careful, man, because this is addicting. Like it's addicting, and it's like a hyper focusing sport. It's a ton of fun. You're gonna love it, and but what Cam and especially Cam Hanes, man, like I can't say enough about what he's actually done for bow hunting. It's just. And I know a lot of guys will be like, whoa, well, it's so crowded at the trailheads now because everybody wants to be Cam Hanes and everyone wants to go hiking back into the mountains. And it's like, good. That's great. And if you're a true outdoorsman and you know how to hunt, you will use that to your advantage. Use the people that don't know what they're doing to your advantage. It's that simple. Like, I mean, can't tell how many times I've been like, you know what? There's dudes over there screaming at bulls. I know those bulls are not coming to that. They're actually going to push them away. Let's go down to the other side. Let's go to the other side of that. And what do you know? Elk are right there. Like, use it to your advantage. Don't get mad and butthurt because somebody found your spot. It's public land, man. It's it's everyone's spot. Everybody pays taxes. Everybody's bought licenses. Everybody's out there. It's all fair chase. So don't be butthurt because somebody else is like beat you to the trailhead. Wake up earlier then. Like, that's just the game. That's life, man. Sometimes you got to go the extra mile to get the reward. And Cam what he's done, man. It's incredible. It really is incredible. Cause this is just a pipe fitter from Eugene, Oregon, who liked to bow hunt and started writing for Eastman's. And now look at him, man. He's like, he's the biggest name in the industry. And he's crushing it on all fronts.
Well, I love what he's done too for the physicality side of things. I mean, you're an athlete, I'm an athlete, and what it's done is it struck a chord with younger generations as well, because a lot of us are into that CrossFit scene or at least into the gym scene, and where hunting and fishing used to be just for the bubbas out back and you're out in the woods somewhere, eating freaking Twinkies and chicken fried whatever and just kind of blundering into the woods with their buddy heater. It's actually become an elite sport as well. And it takes athleticism to do that, but also the discipline that bow hunting takes. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so you can't be bow hunting all the time. So Cam has inspired so many people to start running marathons or working out, or even the people he associates with, like David Goggins. Like, Goggins isn't a hunter, at least that I know of, but he's associated with that Cam Hanes, with that Joe Rogan kind of crowd. And what that's done is it's inspired a bunch of young men to step up, become alphas, get out there, maybe get into hunting, and at the very least, stop being a piece of crap on the couch.
Yeah. Just get up and go.
Yeah.
Get up and get out there. Even if it's okay if you don't kill anything, man, it's just get out in what it does for your mental to be out in the wilderness, in the wild, and to be miles away and realize that like no one's coming to save you and you got to kind of get yourself out of this situation. That is the best feeling, to like put yourself in an uncomfortable position and then make it through that without quitting. It's just like every single workout that I do, I try to make myself as uncomfortable as I possibly can and try to break myself every time. Try to mentally break myself and want to quit. And then when you don't quit, now the dopamine comes every time. And it's like a drug. It's like the best kind of drug. And, Cam is like an extremist with this ultra marathon stuff, right? You don't have to be an ultra marathon runner to go out and enjoy the wilderness, right? But you should probably get in shape before you come to Colorado and hike in the Rockies. You should probably get in shape. And that could be as simple as getting a backpack with get in your pack, put a heavy rock in there and just hike around with that. That is plenty, because a lot of guys, they're like, well, I don't have time to go, just run on 30 miles and this and that. And it's like, well, okay, well, you have time to put a heavy rock in your bag and go walk for 30 minutes.
Yeah, go down to the high school track, just walk the bleachers, walk the track, put something on, put all your gear on and just go and do. You're going to be that much better. And, you said something about dopamine. This right here, this is synthetic dopamine. That's what this is. It just completely floods your mind. And that's one of the great things that I absolutely love about the outdoors is the detachment from technology and the actual natural dopamine that starts coming back. And, you may not have those quick hits of the likes and the comments on your post, but what you do find is that dopamine that you have nothing, and then there's that rush that comes with accomplishment.
Oh yeah. It's, I've compared shooting a bull elk to, sacking Tom Brady in an AFC championship game. Like that is honestly, you want to feel what that's like to sack, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. You want to know what that's like? And then get up and howl and have the whole crowd howl at you. Go for 5 days and put 100 miles on your feet, and then finally get an opportunity to loose an arrow and smoke a bull and then walk up on it. It is the most incredible feeling. Like there's nothing like the only thing I could compare that to was sacking Tom Brady in the AFC championship game. That was the only, like, as far as like level of excitement, like that was it. That was the only other comparison I had for that. Or sacking Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. Like that was another one that was incredible. But, it's just like that's the only thing that I can find that even comes close to matching that. So everybody can do that. Everyone can go and experience that. Literally everyone.
I love that analogy. I used Tom Brady as an example because a lot of his mentality and his TED Talks and his stuff that I've seen out there aligns a lot with mine. And I went on this huge, kind of mental health journey for a while there, trying to figure things out right around when I was turning 40, probably a little bit before that. But I've been kind of like a student of Tom's. But talk to me about that moment, man. Like, yeah, that totally left my mind. Like, sacking Tom Brady. What does that feel like? I mean, I know you just said it to a bull, but like that, man, I got chills. Like I got a little hit of dopamine just thinking about knowing somebody, having this conversation with somebody that took down somebody like that.
Well, I got him. So I played against him from 2012 to 2019, and I got him probably like 7 or 8 times. And one of them was one of them was in like an overtime game in December 2015, and it was like just a crazy play, the way it went down. Like I had to throw 2 offensive linemen out of my way and made them trip over each other, and then I grabbed him by his jersey, almost got away, and then I got him by the legs. And that one was wild in the snow in December in Denver. That was cool. But then another one was in the AFC championship game, just like less than a month later. About a month later after that overtime game. And I just kind of ran around the tackle and beat the tackle. And he tried to get out of the pocket, and I caught him from behind and got his legs right before he crossed that line of scrimmage. And I jumped up and stood right over him and howled. And then they took a photo of it, and it's like me just standing there over him howling. But awesome. Tom was the thing about Tom, I love playing against him because he'd be like, hey, I remember when I got his jersey and he thought he was going to get away and I grabbed his legs. He was like, he told me, that was a good play. He's like, good job, dude. And I was like, this guy's unbelievable. Like he was just so fun to play against, man. And he was never, at that AFC championship game, we hit him 27 times. And now it's when you could land on him. We buried him 27 times, and he just never acted like it bothered him. It just like, he jumped right back up, and I know he was hurting. I heard the wind leave him, wow. So like he would just jump right back up, man. He was the ultimate competitor. And, but when you're in the moment, man, you're not thinking like, oh, I'm about to get Tom Brady. You're just trying to get the quarterback. Like you're not thinking about who it is. It's just like when a big bull or a big deer or like anything comes, you can't look at the antlers. You can't think about how big that animal is, because it's going to screw you up. You have to just like be like, okay, this is just like any other play. I'm just going to try to get the quarterback. Okay, I'm just going to try to loose a perfect shot here. It's just this. That's how it goes, and it's the same hyper focus in the woods. All right, guys, I want to talk to you about a product that I've been using for a long time, over a decade. When I was playing football, one of my main staples in my diet was bison. I got my bison from Great Range Premium Bison. They make some of the finest cuts of bison you can get. These guys have ribeyes, ground bison, all the steaks that you want. My favorite part about Great Range is that you don't have to worry about antibiotics or growth hormones in their meats. Great Range Premium Bison is a family-owned company providing bison meat from family-owned ranches around the country. So please go check out greatrangebison.com.
So the thing that I love about Brady is, you know, as I kind of like looked myself in the mirror and tried to like kind of go through my mind, probably starting about age 39 or so, as I was approaching 40, really trying to figure out like why I do certain things. And a lot of it comes back to hook and barrel. I always kind of operated out of this place, and I never had anybody articulate it correctly. And then I listened to an interview with Brady where he talks about a chip on his shoulder. And it kind of reminded me also of like some of the Jordan stories as well. And it's kind of the way that I operate. Like, it may or may not have happened. I may have just fabricated it. Or Derek Wolfe could have sacked me in a game, and now I'm playing against the Eagles, and I'm still mad about Derek Wolfe freaking sacking me, right? Same thing with hook and barrel. When I first started, I had somebody come up to me and like, "Hey, don't do it." I'm like, "No, why not?" They're like, "We don't appreciate the competition," and that's all you needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear. And I'm like, "I'm just gonna like freaking bury you, man." And to this day, like we've crushed them. We've crushed them. Like, they're in Texas, we're nationwide, but I still see their publication and I still smile, and it still just fuels me, right? And I never really understood that until I heard that TED Talk with Brady. And then I watched like Jordan's kind of documentary, and I'm like, aha, so this is kind of what that like feeling is. And that's what's going through my head when I'm doing the things that I'm doing as a man. And so I bet you he still thinks about getting sacked by you, because that's just how he is.
Oh yeah. You know, well, it's just like, if any great competitor after a game, you don't think about all the great plays you had. You think about the ones that didn't go great. Those are the ones that stick with you. You know, I can tell you about I can't really sit here and talk about all the great plays I ever had, but I can remember bad plays. You know what I mean? I could really remember those because they just like eat at you. And when you talk about, I still do it to this day, and it's like a sickness. I will fabricate a story.
I love it.
About somebody thinking I'm going to fail, and they don't think that I deserve this or I'm going to be able to do it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, if I'm about to do like a set in the gym that's going to suck, I start thinking, I make it up. I'll be like, that guy in that corner over there thinks I can't do this. I'll just like make a story in my head and be like, I'm about to prove him wrong. Let's fucking go. Like, and I do it.
And you almost get into a fight at the end. Like, you're still so mad at him. Dude, I do that all the time. I did that in a Spartan race. I don't even know why I was mad at this guy. He went to my gym, and I always worked out harder than him. And I see him in the race, and I'm like, this guy's not going to pass me. And then he did. I'm like, oh, hell no. Dude, I knew I was going to bury him. Like, I run all the time. I do all this stuff. But in that moment, he was a runner, and he got past me. Dude, for the rest of the race, I remember I finally turned the corner, and I just see him slip behind me. I just see this face like, ah, right? And I'm like, that's right. And dude, I never saw him again. That it just fueled me. To this day, I saw him walking in front of my truck one day, and I'm like, fuck that guy. I'm like, why am I mad at this dude? Like, he just was trying to run a fun run.
I would do it with offensive linemen. I would like, they would look at me like there was something wrong with me. Cause I'd be like, okay, this guy really thinks that he's better than me. And then I'll make up all kinds of shit. Cause, you know, I didn't have good parents growing up. I'd be like, I bet this motherfucker had both of his parents. Like, why am I mad that this guy had parents? Like, but I would like use that and be like, he's soft because he had two parents. You know, it's like, or he has a mom. He's soft because his mom loves him. And I would just like use that as just rage fuel. It was so stupid, but it worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then when you retire, you have to like, you can't stay in that rage anymore. You have to.
You're at the gas station. Like, what's that guy looking at? Oh, he's pumping gas faster than me because he's got a nicer truck. Oh yeah, I'm gonna. You know, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is like insanity. And that's kind of like to get to be elite at anything that you're doing. Like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to publish, you know, the best, you know, possible magazine you can. You have to be a little bit of a psycho because there has to be something that drives you. And if you have to fabricate something to drive you that day, then do it. And you know, people are like, well, that's not healthy. Well, guess what, dude? This is life. And sometimes like you have to do what you got to do, and you got to get yourself in the right mind state the right mindset to like go out and conquer whatever it is that day. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, I'll give you another example. I'll use my wife as like fuel sometimes. Like we're getting our house ready to sell, right? So we have to, I've filled up two giant dumpsters full of just like garbage, things that I've compiled over the last 10 years that I never will use or touch ever again. But I'm like a hoarder. So I'm like, I might use this someday, like, so she's like, can you please just get rid? She's like, she told me, she's like, we're never going to get rid of all this stuff. And I took that as a challenge. And so for the next like 3 days after that, I put headphones in and microdosed some mushrooms and went to town on this. I went ham on this whole house. I was just throwing away everything. I was like, I don't need this. I don't need that. I was like, I don't need any of this shit. And I went crazy, took it all apart and threw it all away. Like pressure washer and everything, just like going crazy. And it's because I was like, she thinks I can't do it. I'm going to do it. It's like, it could have the flip side of it. Cause when somebody tells you, I'll give you another example of where it can hurt you. So I told her, the other day how it is when you get to like that 35-year-old range, you still like want to do dangerous things. And I was like, I think I'm going to get a Harley. And it's like, she looks at me when I said it and she's like, no, like, why would you do that? Like you'll be dead in 6 weeks. So I took that as a challenge. Like, oh yeah, you think I'll die on a Harley? I'm not going to die. I'll punish the car if it tries to hit me. Like, I'm like, what am I go in this whole thing where like, whenever you tell me I can't do something, I want to do it even more. It's like and it comes from my childhood where like my teachers would tell me, you're probably not going to make it to the NFL. And I'd be like, yeah, I will. And they would just make them crazy because I wouldn't come up with a plan B. They're like, well, what's your plan B? I'm like, Navy SEALs. They're like, okay, I don't know what to do with this kid. Like, I was like, listen, I'm here to do whatever I got to do so I could play football. That's it. I don't need any of the other bullshit. I just want to do what I got to do to be eligible. I was like, just leave me alone. I'll get the work done. I'll find a way to get it done and I'll get my little C and then you can leave me alone. Like, that's all I care about. I just hated school, hated being in a classroom. I just wanted to be out doing something, and, I take that approach with kind of everything I do. And I assume that's the approach you take, is just like everything is a challenge.
Everything's a challenge. Literally our company mantra, back in the day, somebody challenged Ernest Hemingway to write a story in 6 words. And he did. And then I learned about that through a masterclass I was taking with Richard Branson. And so he came up with one for Virgin. Screw it, let's do it. I came up with challenge everything, then do the unexpected. And that's our company mantra. And that is how I roll. I've always rolled that way. I mean, I swear, like, you and I, have the same mindset then, because everything that I do, and dude, when one of my competitors out there challenges me, they don't even know they're challenging me most of the time. But if I ever hear about it, it's just like, it's game on. I will wait for 20 years. Hell, I could have closed the business. I could have sold the business. I don't care what it is. 20 years down the line, if I see you, I'm still going to try to beat you somehow. And it does sound kind of psycho, but it's the obsession that is required for winning. And that's just everything we do. And like, people look at me as the editor-in-chief and CEO of Hook and Barrel magazine, and they think that I must hunt and fish all the time. Well, here's the reality of it is, I really don't. I am so dedicated to growing this business and dominating this space that we did in 8 years what it took people 20, 30 years to do. And I'm not done. I realized that the summit of the outdoor publication world is a false summit. Now I'm looking at like Condé Nast kind of stuff. Like, how am I getting to where those guys are at? Right. Mm-hmm. And that's where my mentality is. So a lot of times when people are out there, and that's where a lot of my competition goes wrong. They're out there hunting and fishing. I've got writers that have that experience. I'm here taking master classes. I am reading books. I am listening to podcasts. I am reading about tech things. I'm embracing both sides of the aisle, seeing what ideas work. I am constantly working on this business. I am looking at your business and seeing where you're doing better, where you're going wrong. I am looking at reports. I've hired people. I'm inspecting every bit of public knowledge I could get, down to internet numbers. I could tell you the general traffic. Anything. I could tell you how many advertisers you had. I know what your ad ratios are. I know what they're spending with you. I have worked ridiculously, obsessively hard with it. And that's why we have grown so fast. And, when all my other people are out, all my competitors are out for first day of deer season, I'm still here just freaking working. When y'all are up, drinking at night, I'm reading a book. And it's just like, and as I'm flipping through those pages, I'm literally reading each one of those words and going, how does this apply to them? How does this apply to me? And it's an obsession. And if you think I'm bad, my wife makes me look like Mother Teresa. I mean, she's like Queen of the South, kind of like nuts. Her hobby is work. Like my hobby is athletics. Her hobby is like, she'll sadly tell you it's work, and she is a savage, and she is such a critical part of this business. And we've attracted those same kind of people to our organizations that have that same level of psycho, and you have to have it. And it doesn't matter if it's football, if it's hunting, if it's business, if it's your lemonade stand. If you don't have that level of crazy, you're not going to be the best.
Yeah, you just won't be. I could relate with, my wife is the same way. Like she's just a killer and a natural born leader. And it's insane to watch her just like zero in on something and just dominate it. It's fun. It's fun to watch, because I'm used to being the one that does that. Now I'm like, let me just sit back and watch her do this real quick, because this is impressive. Like the way she will just like calculate it, and she thinks like a chess player, I think women have that ability to do that. Whereas, I'm more of a like, how do I win right now? Like, how do I win right now? She's thinking of like, okay, I'm going to try to win this 3 steps later. Instead, I'm just like, well, I got to win right now. And she's like, no, just chill. And she like pumps the brakes on me. And it's just like, she's always right. Whenever we do that, whenever I try to like impulsively do something and I just pump the brakes and wait a minute and like kind of follow her lead, it always works out better. And, anytime I don't do that, it usually is like, now I got to suffer the consequence of this now. So it's like that in anything. And I think that the most important decision you can make in life is who you choose as a partner.
Yeah.
And, and luckily, we won that in that draw. I'm very blessed with who I chose as a wife. And I think that you feel the same way.
Oh, 100%. I told her, like, it's like, remember that old cartoon Captain Planet, like when our powers unite? Like she is super, super good at her craft, and so am I. But when you put the two of us together, it's like the power of like the most powerful CEOs out there. You have somebody like me that's a complete visionary, that is obsessed, that is just all the things I just described. And you've got somebody like her that's on the same page, but just even more so. And then you put us together, and where my shortcomings come in, just like you're describing with your wife, she'll pump the brakes and step in. Where her shortcomings come into place, I'll step in. And then we're surrounded by this team. But like when you put the two of us in a room, it's lights out, dude. Like we had this situation where we went to this big networking event and they wanted all this money for advertising. And I'm like, no, we're not doing this. And they're like, well, help you get in front of more people. Dude, by the time we left with like $500,000 in business. Like we just dominated that room. Like I didn't need to spend $20,000, $30,000 to sponsor the event. I just had to go out to that coffee station and talk to everybody in the room, book appointments. It's like SHOT Show, man. For those people that have gone to SHOT Show, it's the largest, it's 1 million square feet of B2B guns. And dude, we'll run 50, 60 appointments. They're every 30 minutes on the 30 minutes with 10 minutes of travel time in between, with our help staff literally bringing us food. Everything's planned out. Everything's been mapped out for months. We go in early, we leave late, bookend it with a few extra days, and we'll cover 70 freaking partners all in that time. Yeah. And it's just like, it's because we have her and I together, dude. It's just like incredible. And like without her, I'm screwed, and hopefully she feels the same about me. But I don't even know. She's that independent. So
yeah, that's how I feel about my wife. I think she'd be just fine without me, but
yeah, she'd have a lot more money.
Yeah, I think I like the matter. Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by Black Buffalo. Black Buffalo's nicotine pouches do not contain tobacco leaf or stem. What they do contain is a ton of flavor, and they're packed with pharmaceutical grade nicotine. The magic of Black Buffalo is they discovered a way to make cured edible green leaves behave like the texture of tobacco. and they add food-grade ingredients for industry-classic flavors. You're in good company if you roam with the Black Buffalo herd. The business was built by dippers with decades of smokeless tobacco use. They manufacture their tobacco alternatives with respect for those products that came before them. Bold flavors, full pouches, metal lids, and a brand that stands for something: American. Their products are also proudly endorsed by brand ambassadors such as MMA Hall of Famer Cowboy Cerrone, NASCAR champion Brian Blaney, rising country star Larry Fleet, and Rob O'Neill, former U.S. Navy SEAL Team 6. So if you're 21 and older and you consume nicotine or tobacco and you want to join the Black Buffalo herd, head over to blackbuffalo.com to learn more. You can order nicotine pouches online, and they ship directly to most states. Or you can check out their store locator to purchase pouches at thousands of retail locations around the country. Black Buffalo, an American brand, pouches worth respect. But where do you see the future? What is the future? What is like the 5-year plan here? I don't want you to give up your business plans, but I want to see like where you see, like, what's the next big thing for Hook and Barrel? Like, what can people be looking out for?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, man, I sat in the back of a room and talk about a chip on my shoulder. I wasn't invited to speak on the editors panel. And I'm like, dude, I'm just going to go to this conference and I'm going to lob freaking grenades from the back aisle here. And so, I let all the editors do what they're going to do. And I immediately brought up AI and artificial intelligence and large language models as it applies to the outdoor space. And there was one idiot, and I will say he's an idiot, stood up and said, I'm not embracing artificial intelligence because it was invented by the left. And I was like, This guy's a fucking idiot. This guy's a fucking idiot. Because I had been thinking about it probably for a year prior to that. I mean, I was part of the first like invite only ChatGPT beta group. I played with it there. During COVID, dude, I was developing NFTs because that was like all the rage back then. Remember those? And I was like, you know what? If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. Hook and Barrel is going to have an NFT, and it was going to be like this all access club because I was basing it off of a sushi restaurant in Manhattan. I was like, this is kind of cool. It went nowhere, but I was still thinking along those terms. And so I've been talking to my team about search engine optimization, what the web is going to look like, and what the future of search engines is going to be. Gosh, 2.5 years. And we start developing all this stuff. And so for me, I don't think print is ever going to die. They're just doing it wrong. Like, we give it away for free at the exits of the stores. Nobody wants to pay for content anymore. I don't think anybody pays for content. Now, if you're not near one of our stores, go on to hookandbarrel.com. You can subscribe. I still joke that $39.99 is cheaper than going to a Bass Pro. Every time I leave $100 lighter. So just better not just subscribe. But the digital front of what we're doing here. This is an industry that is always behind. I mean, we're still watching old school hunting videos. I swear some of these guys still might watch them on VHS tapes. Their websites are designed, they look like they may be MySpace pages. And so for years, I've been researching this. And for about a year, I've been training a large language model that is going to be applied to hookandbarrel.com. It's highly educated across the web. It's called Guide. And Guide essentially is a chatbot, but it's trained where it will serve you that content. It will send it to you via SMS or email. And then it even goes down to the links. It'll say, hey, would you like to buy this? Or can I send you, it'll do all of that for you. It also literally will monitor everything that you do on my website. And so each person clicks on different things. It has basically leaves a breadcrumb that another side of this AI actually, analyzes essentially, and then will predict other stories that you will like. And that will appear now at the top of our website. It's been doing that since January. That will then get dripped, campaigned out to you. Like because it also memorizes all your IP addresses. So if your IP address is associated with an email within our database, it will then drip campaign you out this information. That's the big thing for Hook and Barrel. Probably, I wouldn't even say 5 years. That thing's going to deploy here in just, the full version of it, probably 2-3 months max. There's another version of it where you're actually going to be able to talk to a 4K animated screen. There's a lot of industries already producing AI personalities. Why does the hunting and shooting industry not have that? But ultimately, man, it's just to build this company up huge. If you want to talk 5 years, it's like that false summit, right? Like all I ever wanted to do is get to the top of the publishing world and slam my flag in their next Outdoor Life, Field and Stream, Recoil magazines, and the OSG publications. And then I had all these people on the trail in between. And along the way, we've knocked some of them off. Some of them we've passed, other ones we've become friends with, but just kept moving on. And, last year or two, we've been hiring pretty heavily, and we got to the top of that mountain. Now, if you go into SHOT Show, there's hook and barrel banners hanging from the ceiling. There's magazines everywhere. We're in every major retailer around the United States for free to their customers. 255,000 digital subscribers. We are pretty big in the space. But then I looked at it and I'm like, the scoreboard's not high enough. And why am I sitting here with these guys? Like, why am I not up there with Sports Illustrated? Why am I not up there with, GQ? Why am I not up there with the Rolling Stone? Like, how can we normalize hunting and fishing in an appropriate manner and take that to the masses? And so that's kind of my goal. Just continue to do that. Right now, I just turned 40. I don't have any need to retire. I still have competitors out there that have whether realistically or plausibly, I made it up. I don't know. Offended me one way or another. I have some people on that list of people that I need to be sacked in an AFC game and, stood upon and howled at. So I still have names to take down, and, yeah, man. And then, ultimately, who knows? I mean, I think any founder, eventually has an exit plan, and whether that is get the company in a place where I hire a CEO that, I get to just basically have weekly calls with, and I just kind of read my magazine. It comes to my, my house somewhere at the beach. I'm like, oh, look, this issue looks good. Or, hell, man, let's say there's an 8-figure exit. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not thinking about that yet. I mean, I'm always worried about the bottom line and what EBITDA looks like for the company to keep us healthy. But right now I'm having fun, man. And like I said, there's people still on my hit list. So,
well, good for you, man. I can't wait to see what you do with it. And, I'm excited to work with you guys in the future, because I know we're going to be able to get on some projects together and do some cool shit. And
yeah, absolutely, man.
I really do think that I think I'm very unique in this space as far as I'm just trying to say, like, I don't see a lot of guys going to EDM concerts and then going out and hunting as well. Like I do both of those things, and
dude,
then
there's more of you than you think, though, because I am that dude.
Yeah. There's a lot more to me than people think, like, it's funny. I posted a video of me yo-yoing the other day, or my wife took a video of me like playing with this yo-yo, my daughter's yo-yo. And she's like, how the hell do you know how to yo-yo? I'm like, I was a poor kid from Ohio. What do you mean? Like, everybody knew how to use a yo-yo in elementary school. It was like the cool thing to do, and she was like, this is insane. I'm like walking the dog and rocking the cradle, and what the fuck is going on here? Like, how do you know how to do this? So, there's so much. I think that's what people want to see. They want to see like there's way more to this guy than people thought. Right. It's like, when you do an episode, when you do like with Blake Shelton, right? People get to learn about who he is, like what he likes to do, what he's interested in. And it's like, oh, he's more than just an artist, and it's, I think that's what you guys bring most to the table, is being able to show that we're not just redneck killers. Like, we are like multifaceted humans that like enjoy the outdoors. We enjoy providing meat. We enjoy spending time in the wilderness. Like, that's really what it is. And I'm excited for you guys. And, I'm happy to know you, because you and your wife were just, we met in Utah and you guys were awesome. So, and I could see like the power dynamic there. It was awesome. And yeah, super relatable. So hopefully we can get together soon. And I just want to wrap this up by saying, I think that when you said something earlier about, the AI was created by the left, and that's why I'm not going to embrace it. The outdoor industry has already embraced technology. People already use all of the mapping things on their phone, and they're already like, using Go Hunt. They're using OnX, and they're using, like, everything is done online. You're buying your licenses online. Everything's done online. Why not have some kind of AI be able to plan your entire hunt for you?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not create that? Why not make that so that would make it, that's how you want to bring younger people into this? Make it so that they don't have to think so damn hard and figure it all out on their own. They can use a chat bot to, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's like, this shows like the best possible chances of seeing elk, or this is like, these are the best times of the year. The weather has been this way, in this, just all of these things that a chat bot could figure out in milliseconds that would take us, days to figure out on, researching. Why not embrace that? I don't get it, man. It's like that old school mentality of like, we don't like anybody that doesn't like to hunt. Like it's like, come on,
dude. Well, it's like our tagline, man. The lifestyle magazine for modern outdoorsmen. And that's what that modern means, right? It is that guy that goes to EDM concerts. You know what? Guess what? We're not all rednecks, dude. Like I love New York as much as I love the middle of nowhere. And I love good dinners, but I could cook over the campfire. I love EDM, but I will listen to Waylon in the truck. Like all of these things, man, things have changed. And like I could go wander around the woods forever and look for, different things, or I could upload a topo map to an AI platform and have it figure out the natural funnels based upon the different things it's seeing. I could have it look for where the water sources are. I could have it look for where the hardwoods versus the pine trees are. I could have it do all that, and it eliminates 3 days of wandering around because I have other things to do. Our world has sped up so much from back in the day that now we don't have time for that stuff.
You should check out Spartan Forge and talk to
those guys. Those guys are awesome.
They are next level. And they are going to change the game with the stuff that they're doing, man, especially for like the whitetail guy. It's really going to change the game. So you should check those guys. I didn't mean to cut you off, but made me think of like those guys are changing the game.
And it's that kind of thought process. And the old school guys are going to tar and feather me for it. But at the end of the day, they're going to be happy when their hunting and fishing rights are preserved because we've got more numbers voting the correct way, because elections are won in margins, right? It's the independent vote. And if we could get more people to vote our way, I hate the saying, but if I could get 1% more on my side of things, we win. We saw what happened in this election.
Yeah. Yeah. And elections have consequences, man. Like you get the wrong guy elected for governor in a certain state, it will start chipping away at all your rights, all your, people like to call hunting a privilege, but dude, it's my right. It's my God-given right to be able to harvest an animal off this land that I, as long as I cultivate, do it the right way, it's my God-given right to be able to feed my family with this, and if I do everything legally and do it within the rules, right, it's my God-given right to do that. And, people argue with me and be like, well, no, it's really a privilege. It's like, no, it's not a privilege. I'm a free man, free American here. And I should be allowed to hunt and fish, and nobody should be able to tell me otherwise.
You're that guy that's on like one of those game warden shows on Discovery Channel. It's my right to fish here. It's my right to hunt. And like, sir, come over to the truck, sir.
Sir, this is private land.
I'm a free man. Like fucking Braveheart over there.
Let's start a revolution over it. Well, John, man, I really appreciate the time, brother. This was a great episode, man. I really appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you having me on, dude.
Yep. Stay in touch, brother.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Wolfe Untamed podcast. Be sure to check me out on Instagram, DerekWolf_95. Check out the Wolfe Untamed podcast on YouTube. You can listen on all the other platforms, as well as DerekWolf.com.